Hello guys, welcome back to another retro movie review. Today we are reviewing Mission Impossible 4, and this is the first Mission Impossible that has a title. This is Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. Yes, this is the fourth movie in the franchise and it came out in 2011, so it's getting relatively recent now in terms of these movies. Many people say that these films get better and better and better, and I can actually see that. I can actually see it is improving as it goes. However, this isn't my favourite one so far. More on that at the end of all this ranking and stuff, when I rank all the movies after watching them all. But Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol then. From 2011, of course, it stars Tom Cruise. We get Simon Pegg in this one, who plays a massive role in this film, really, in terms of from what he did before as Benji. We get Paula Patton as well in this film, as well as Jeremy Renner and Léa Seydoux, who was in the newest James Bond movie. So a really good cast as well. Let's just see how it held up. So the basics of this film basically is, the Russians are basically trying to frame the Americans for starting a war after, bombing the Kremlin. Now the Kremlin is like the Russian government, equivalent of like the White House and or, like Houses of Parliament, 10 Downing Street and all that. It's basically where the president of Russia does all of his business. And that was exploded and they blame America, and the IMF kind of has to like disband because they're to blame, and they need to, we're on the brink of a war, like a nuclear war. So Ethan basically has to go like under the radar, have really no support other than like what's in the back of this like train trailer thing, and then ultimately he has to solve this mission impossible. Basically, and I guess that's where the Ghost Protocol comes in, because they had to invoke the Ghost Protocol, and they have to go ghost and undercover and, on the edge, I guess. This was, I guess, from an era in 2011 where CGI, in my opinion, wasn't great, and sometimes you would argue, just don't do it. Like, in the first Mission Impossible film, we had like a car blow up, and that was done practically. In this one, obviously you're not going to blow up the Kremlin, but it was that age where I think CGI looked like a video game. And it's mad how a film back in the 90s obviously looked way better when it was done real versus CGI, which was done, in 2011, many years later. So yeah, it took it out of the film for me, but that's because I think we're spoiled now in 2023. We get like such good looking CGI that it is really hard, obviously for studios to do that, and get that balance right now, back in those 2011 movies, because in 2011 this was the latest and greatest tech. And yeah, I did find as well Tom Cruise in this film to be a bit underwhelming, really. I think this was one of the films where he started to do his own stunts. There was like this entire scene where he was going up the Burj Khalifa, using these like glove things, and there was a bit of tension when he was like, one of the gloves actually broke and stuff. So there was a bit of tension there for me, but I didn't know what was real through the camera, what was him, what wasn't him. I don't really know, so maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's a bad thing, but I think I was watching it more intrigued with Tom Cruise is that Tom Cruise than actually like watching the film, which I guess is a bad thing and a good thing at the same time, because you want to watch something that's authentic, but then you don't want something to make you think, is it this, is it that, so it's getting that balance right, I think, really is kind of what I was missing. But for me, as I say, this isn't my favourite film so far, and more on that in the rankings coming up after I've watched them all. But for a movie, it's definitely not the worst. I really enjoyed it. I like the aspect of them travelling around the world and seeing more of the world. It definitely is a film where it's filmed like on location and stuff like that, and I definitely appreciate the franchise as a whole, really, for doing that and stuff. This movie is directed by Brad Bird. He is mostly known for his animation, so his Incredibles 1, Incredibles 2 and Ratatouille movies. So this is a great like big blockbuster for him in terms of action and all that, and I think it was a good, it wasn't the worst one, like I said. So rating the movie then, what would I give Mission Impossible 4 Ghost Protocol? Well, I'm going to give it a 3.5 star. Like, for me, like I say, it's not like, as good as the previous one I watched, number 3. I really enjoyed number 3. I didn't think it was as good, but it's definitely getting better in terms of like, how the film is laid out, the castings, all of that is definitely getting better. So the next one I have is Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, which is the next one, and then we've got Fallout then after that. So we're getting there, we're getting towards the end, and I do have, and you'll be pleased to know, Dead Reckoning booked in the cinema. It's still here, and I think it's like the last showing is going to be on. So, but anyways, there we go. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, 3.5 star. Let me know your thoughts down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Are you enjoying these reviews so far? Let me know, and also let me know some like franchises that I should do the same type of thing for in the future. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.